Hey, Acers, thanks for joining me today, and it's great to see you. And this, of course, is the Ace Role Playing Games Club channel, and this is where I post videos about game mastering. Specifically, I've been focusing in on Savage Worlds, but I'm hoping to expand that to Index Card RPG next and some other game systems that I really have I realize I have a penchant for game systems that can be used in multiple ways. So I'm going to learn Powered by the Apocalypse. I'm going to learn GURPS. I'll learn GURPS. Apparently, Traveler got made from its original thing into a Cephas, I think is the name of the system. Looks really interesting. I'm going to look into that. But I have Cortex over there. I have Monty Cook's Cypher system. I have BRPG from, what's their names? Chaosium. So I have all of these different ones that I do want to go through them with you. And I do also want to go through like some of the engines that that underlie some of the other role playing games that I'm interested in trying. Like I've heard really good things about the dice system for Free League that they use in Tales from the Loop. And so I'm going to just look at these. And because sometimes Savage Worlds is not the answer actually. Because you want to get a specific feel out of your game. And playing Savage Worlds is not always the answer. In most cases, Savage Worlds does pretty well. It's like the self-defense that I do, where I want to be the best wrestler among the hitters and kickers, and I want to be the best hitter and kicker among the wrestlers. I want to be able to maybe not be the absolute best at that thing, but I want to be able to do as much as I can with that thing. So that said, I'm preparing right now for the 4 games I'll be running at SaltCon, and those ones are going to be, I'm going to run Dust Bunnies, Life Under the Couch. I'm running the Brush of Doom. I'm running my friend's adventure for the Knights Arcanum. That's going to be a blast. I had a lot of fun the last time I ran that one for a 4-hour one-shot. I'm going to be doing East Texas University, The Curious Death of Violet Evans by my friend Tracy Sizemore. It is awesome. And I'm going to also be running a Deadlands Lost Colony game. So I actually got to finish reading the book. But I'm to a point that I could run it. I'm definitely to a point that I could run it, but I want to make sure that I can be able to respond to whatever archetypes my players choose to play. Now, one of the things I'm listening to, incidentally, I'm listening to a really, really good book called Never Unprepared by Phil Vecchione. And he suggests basically going through the steps I go through for project management, which, funny enough, Phil Vecchione is also a project manager. But there's something to be said about sitting down and taking kind of a Scrum or Agile approach to it. And that basic idea is you start with the end in mind. You start planning for the game with saying, okay, here's the denouement. Let's move backwards from that. What's that final battle look like? Who's going to need to be there? What are the stats of that final challenge? And that final challenge does not need to be a big bad evil guy. Usually it is, but it does not need to be. And then what are the steps that build up to it? What are the things that hint at this big bad evil guy and come back to where we are? Now, we've taken that big picture. We have the vision. Let's break that down into smaller components and ask ourselves, what are the pieces that are needed in order to be able to accomplish what we're trying to do? Then, once we've taken that and broken it down into the pieces, because that not only involves the story pieces, Vecchione recommends 3 editors for your prep. You've got your proofreader, who goes through and just makes sure that the language is clean and things like that. And you don't need to like technically proofread, but you make sure that everything's included. You got your director, who's going to make sure that you don't have any logic gaps and things like that. And you have your playtester. Now, each of those selves of us is going to contribute just a little bit to the overall to the overall story that we're presenting. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and look at from where the players are to the final fight to that denouement, and we're going to say, okay, here is where they are, and from if I was to tell this as a story, what kind of twists and turns and ups and downs would I give to them to build them to a point where they can face this big bad evil guy? Let's just run with that for now. Then the next step is we run that same process again and do it from a director's standpoint and say, are there any major logic gaps in here? How are we supposed to get them from the top of a high-rise in Paris or from the top of the Eiffel Tower in Paris, let's say that, to a high-rise in New York? And how's that going to happen? So we need to plug things in there. And then we go again and we say, okay, as a play tester, what would be my criticism of this? If I was the player here now, what would be my criticism of this? Where do I need to change? And also, there's one more person that Phil doesn't necessarily comment on this person, but I'm adding this in as part of my own contribution, and that is the technical advisor. And the technical advisor is going to be your gun nut. The technical advisor is going to be your vehicle nut. The technical advisor is also going to be the technology nut who's going to say, do you know how to do that with the virtual tabletop that you're using? Or do you know how to make sure that you can retrieve that information on your computer, iPad, laptop? I mean, that's a minor part of the technical advisor's role, but that's still an important part. You need to be able to retrieve your thoughts, and even if there's just bullet points down a small scribbled in page in your phone, you need to be able to retrieve that. So with all that going together, that's what I'm doing to prepare for my games on Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week. And I am also going to be doing 2 presentations. One is on our lovely Ace Role-Playing Games Club. Because what are we? We are a teen suicide prevention club. But the way we do it is we build communities of friends. And the way we build communities of friends is through tabletop role-playing games. That's what we're here for. I am here to help you guys get through the hardest parts of your life that you've ever been through. And to be able to come out on the other side with a group of friends that can be friends for life. I've told you before about being able to get through one of our teens who did commit suicide. Turns out it was a medication he was on that had a huge amount of suicide rates. And then there's the other friend who just died because he had been sick when he was young and he just suddenly passed. I mean, it's times like that that you turn to those friends and you say, I need you. It's times like that where you go back to one friend's house, you role play half-heartedly, you listen to Mighty Mighty Bosstones, you drink a lot of Mountain Dew, you light candles the way that your friend would have lit them. I never said farewell to Ferb by filling up an Arby's cup full of Arby's sauce. No, I never did that. I will not do that. I still remember that sauce flowing down his hand before he left on his mission, which is where he passed away. None of that. None of that stuff. But grief is a thing that we all will experience in our lives. And it's always best to have friends who've been in even virtual, even pretend trenches with you, that struggled to overcome the hardest things that they've ever gone through, while you supported them and they supported you. And both of you, wounded and limping, supported each other back to base. You've been there. We've all been there. And that's what we as game masters create, is that safe opportunity, that safe space for you guys to be able to do what you need to do. So that's all I really wanted to say this week. I promise I won't that I will keep that video that I was going to post last week. I'll keep it and I'll post it another time. But this time I really wanted to talk to you guys and tell you what was going on, because right now I'm kind of going through a little bit of a hard time myself. Our dog just died on Friday, and I know that's nothing compared to losing my two friends, and I wouldn't even compare it to that. But we just lost our big dog, our big fluffy yellow dog. She was a great dog. She was a Native American Indian dog. Oh gosh, could she shed. She had a double coat, kind of like a husky or a Malamute, or those kind of Inuit breeds and stuff. And she could cast off that fur from winter fur. It just went poof. And she was 88 pounds of just love, and we loved her so much. And she passed away. We think she ate some poisonous berries. So if you see red berries around your lawn, unless they are specifically planted there by you and you planted them there on purpose, I'd say go ahead and get rid of them. It's not worth keeping them, because your dog might eat them. Or, at least talk to your parents about it. I guess, that should be your parents who make that decision, but still. So I wanted to just reach out to all of you and just say thank you for coming. Thank you for being there. Thank you for making this channel more than 125 people now. That's great. You guys are wonderful. And I know that's my dad jokes that's been pulling everybody in, but at the same time, you guys are sticking around. And that means a lot to me. And I'm really grateful for you. Thank you for trusting me to take your brains on a little bit of a questioning journey. And I hope that my advice is helping you, because I love you. And if no one's told you this week that you're amazing, you are. And the world is a better place because you're in it. And I know that you can make it through this because we're here for you. And I'll see you next week. I hope to see you at my table.